Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the rumpled one. Russians. Are they... I really think that these guys came up with the strategy. These guys being the Democrats, the liberals, the libtards, the left, came up with the strategy that for 4 years Trump's in office, they're just going to keep hammering on the Russians. I guess they must think there's enough of a red scare that, they can, get people all worked up over Russians. Is that the best they could do? Is that the best they have to offer? Really? On the other hand, the Republicans are just dilly-dallying with this Obamacare repeal. And, meanwhile, Trump's trying to take care of business. And, of course, the media won't report anything positive, such as the fact that, Melania only has 5 staffers where Michelle Obama had 21. So I think the White House budget was reduced by, I forget how many millions of dollars, but they won't report that. Or the fact that Trump donated his salary, I believe, to help some veteran cemeteries or something, to restore them. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I read that somewhere. And meanwhile, I mean, the news is no longer, fake news. It's not even fake news. It's not even news. It's just a bunch of people spouting their opinions under the guise of news. And, quoting Trump out of context and finding fault with everything he does. And, the fact that he banned transgenders from the military, that was a good thing. And I guess Lady Gaga had a comment on there saying how, what a high percentage of these people, these transgenders, commit suicide. And somebody pointed out, well, you see, that's even all the more reason not to let them in the service and give them a weapon. I mean, think about it. Some things just make common sense. And this whole thing about rights is it's just been corrupted and co-opted. I mean, the whole thing, civil rights started, with Afro-Americans, Black Americans, Negroes, colored people, whatever you want to call us, back in the 60s. And since then, everybody's been jumping on the bandwagon, demanding things that aren't, it makes no sense that they have these demands in the first place. I mean, they're basically using the Constitution to destroy this country, under the guise of rights. I mean, rights are a concept. Rights do not exist in the real world. I know I've said this, I've probably beaten a dead horse and preaching to the choir, but there's no such thing as rights in the real world, in reality. It's a construct. And if you believe in it, then the Matrix has you. You see, what you have is you have force. Because, as I've stated before, a bunch of guys sitting around a table, scribbling on a piece of paper, they never give you rights. What they do is they either restrict you, or limit you, or prohibit you, or they impose a fee or tax on what it is you want to do. I mean, this is my land. Don't I have a right to do a quote-unquote, shouldn't I be able to do whatever I want to here within reason? In other words, if I do something and it affects my neighbors, well, then they have the right to complain. But if I do something and it doesn't harm my neighbors, then who cares? But you see, those guys sitting around a table scribbling, they tell me what I can and can't do, whether or not I can build a certain building, a certain size, a certain height. I mean, out here, who cares? But you see, no, because they either want to get a permit for me building, so collect money that way. Then they'll put a tax on it, collect even more money that way. They'll restrict what I can use, so it might cost me more money to build it the way they say I have to build it versus the way I want to build it. And the list just goes on and on. But somehow, too many people have been brainwashed and plugged into the Matrix believing that they've got rights. a right to health care. No, you don't have a right to health care. Because the thing is, every time these people who scream about their rights, they want to use force to take money or something else from somebody else. In other words, they want to violate somebody else's rights. I mean, that's really what they're doing. Because don't I have a right to spend the money that I earn the way I see fit? You know, if I didn't bring a kid in the world, why should I pay for somebody else's? Or if I did bring a kid in the world, why should somebody else pay for mine? Something that's been lost is personal responsibility. You know, about, hey, you know what? You made your bed, so you lie in it. You know, you did the action, so you suffer the consequences or reap the rewards. You know, they sit there and they talk about the rich, the rich. Now, we need to tax the rich. Well, what they don't understand is it doesn't matter to the rich. It really doesn't. No matter what you do, they've got so much money, they don't even care. You know, you're just a minor annoyance with your taxes. You see, the people that get hurt are the people out there working a couple of jobs to make ends meet, and their taxes go up because of somebody else's rights. I mean, do you know how many home care workers are out there working, and the people that they're caring for who are being subsidized from the government or have better health care than the home care providers? I mean, is that not ironic? Is that not backwards? Yet, you know, you got these unions out there screaming for, you know, corporate taxes and screaming for, you know, soak the rich and all these other stupid things. You know, meanwhile, they don't understand that, you know, those union workers that they get all riled up and screaming, they're the people off of their salaries and the money they earn. They're the ones that's going to wind up paying for this because their taxes are going to go up. But you know what's really interesting? You know, you got these union guys out there and they're screaming for all this. Meanwhile, the union staff who are paid for by the union work or the union members' dues, these guys are all making more money than the union members, especially home care workers. I think there's very few union staff that make as little as home care workers do. And these union staffers probably have better pensions and better medical benefits than the union members. You know, it's something that union people should look into. Ask those questions. See if you get straight answers. See if you get answers at all. I guess I get a little riled up about some of these things sometimes. Because, like I said, I've been around the sun 61 times. It's, you know, you just can't pull a fast one on me anymore. It might have taken me 40 or 50 years to get to this point, but you know what? I just don't fall for it. I don't buy into the construct. I've unplugged from the matrix. I see things the way they really are. Not the way I want them to be, not the way they were supposed to be, but the way they are. And my fellow Americans, as always, it's time to wake up and smell the hypocrisy and smell the tyranny.